Today, you're going to learn about 5 tools you can use to get rid of the nightmare clients so that you can have better clients. Hi everyone, today you're watching Wallace TV, where you can improve your life through creative advice, and I want to talk to you today about 5 steps you can use to get rid of nightmare clients so that you can have better clients. The first tool I want to talk to you about is self-awareness. Self-awareness, or your ability to know yourself, is a key skill that you need to cultivate. Gary Vaynerchuk has a fantastic video on this, and as I've been cultivating this skill and learning it more and more over the past 2.5, 3 years, I have realized that most of the problems that I've been having has come from a position of not really being confident in who I am and what I can do and can't do. When you audit your skill set and understand what you're most passionate about, where your skill set is strongest, and what people are specifically coming to you for, you come from a position of strength rather than from a position of weakness. As a user experience designer, although I have graphic design skills, I tend now to say no to a lot more graphic design jobs. As a videographer, although I have skills in videography, going forward, my main focus is to say, look, I am a UX designer and this is where my skill set is strongest. So if you are employing me, I have an understanding in so many other areas, but my strongest skill set is as a UX designer. Self-awareness is key. Understand that you are the individual with the skills and the client is coming to you for your skills. So make sure you know where you're strongest at. The second thing I want to speak to you about is you need to learn how to charge. Do you charge a fixed rate? Do you charge an hourly rate? Do you charge based upon the value of that project? Do you charge based upon the client? If you're charging a fixed rate, what is your fixed rate? Is it £5,000 for all websites that you're going to deal with? Is it £2,000 for all websites you're going to deal with? Make sure you're very clear about that fixed rate and break down for that fixed rate what that potential client is getting for your service. If it is an hourly rate that you charge, then is your hourly rate something that is matching your skill set? So for example, if you are a newly graduated individual, I'm a UX designer, or you may class yourself as a web designer or a mobile designer, or maybe a graphic designer or a photographer, and you have just newly graduated, you've just begun to pick up the skills, then your hourly rate will not reflect that of somebody who has been working within the industry for about 10 to 15 years. Your rate would be different. Maybe somebody over 10 to 15 years may not charge an hourly rate, but they may have a value-based system of charging where they say, based upon this project and based upon the value that I can give this client, I'm going to charge maybe 25 grand as an initial engagement, or 5 or 15 grand as an initial engagement for this project that may take us 2 days or a day or a week. It comes down to your level of expertise and the client that you are working with. That comes on to my last point about the client. You need to understand your client. Now, based upon your client, it doesn't mean that if they cannot afford your services, you are going to lower your value. That's up to your discretion. But personally, I will basically not work with clients who cannot afford my services now, because my level of expertise is higher than it was 5 years ago. 10 years ago. So I know I can charge a minimum of £400 to £500 a day now for any web or app design work, and as a minimum, simply because my skill set allows me to do that just for my services alone. Definitely learn how to charge, because I remember myself when I was working with a client previously about 4 or 5 years ago. I started working with them, and as I began to start working, I didn't make sure that I said to them, this is what I charge. Now, because of that, as we began to work on the project together, there was a promise of payment. But because it wasn't set in stone from the beginning, what happened was that while all the way through, there was changes and consistent changes, and before you know it, it felt like there were like 10 to 15 different versions. And by the time we got to the end of the project, I was so frustrated because I wasn't paid properly by the end of it. And with all the changes that I made, I didn't factor those changes in. So definitely learn how to charge. This also increases your value, and it lets you feel confident going forward that you're not going to be cheated out of any money as you work with that individual. Once you've learned how to charge, you need to make sure that you use contracts. When you use contracts, not only does this protect the client, but it also protects you and your services. Any projects that may have gone wrong, or anything that may go wrong along the deliverables, then you can actually reflect back to your contract and that is a legal binding agreement, and then you can work with that client to say, well, based upon this contract, this is what you agreed, and the client may come to you, based on our contract, this is what you said you would deliver as a designer or as that creative. So make sure you understand contracts. You need to talk about money very, very early. You see, when you have that initial meeting and you're understanding the needs of that client, as you hear them, you should try and very early let them know, well, basically, I charge X for something that you are describing to me. I charge 5 grand as an initial engagement. I charge 10 grand as an initial engagement. I charge £300 for an initial engagement. Make sure you set that from very early. This allows the client to see, oh wow, this person is confident that they can show me what they are worth. But 2, it allows the client to deliberate within their mind whether your services they can afford. And that's really key. You want somebody to know very, very early whether they can afford your services. Remember, in all of this, time is really what is the currency, not the money. Money is a tool, and we'll talk about that in the second video. But really, time is what is of key essence. They are paying you for your time, and you are working with them over that period of time as well. So you need to make sure you put a real good value to your time and talk about that very, very early. You need to create a process. When I say create a process, you need to basically make sure that if they are coming to you and are paying a certain amount of money, what is the process, or how are you going to deliver that project to them? Are you going to show the first draft at the first week, or the second week, or the fourth week? Are you going to have 3 sets of amendments within your process? Are you going to have a key amount to be paid at certain stages? Have a process that is very, very clear, so that from the initial engagement with that client, they know going forward from beginning to end, it will take X amount of time, and these are the times that we're going to meet and have catch-up meetings, or we're going to go through the different drafts and iterations and changes. Make sure you articulate that process very, very early on with that client as well, once they've agreed to your services. I like to also create a clear process of engagement. So for example, if the project is worth 15 grand, I like to say pay 50% at the beginning. 2/3 of the way through the project, I say pay 25%. And then on completion of the project, or sometimes, it depending on the client, a week or 2 before completion of the project, pay the final 25%. Some individuals like to say on completion of the project, pay 25%, but that's something that you can work out with your client. And it's always good to have that last amount worked out with your client. Go speak to them about money very early, like I said in the beginning, and that's why you have your process very, very clear, so that money doesn't become an issue going forward. Remember, money is a tool. It's a necessity and a defense against poverty, but at the same time, it's still just a tool, allowing you to do what you need to do and allowing them to do what they need to do. So let's get rid of the emotion attached to money and just deal with that very early and get it out the way. All right, guys. So what are some of the ways that you deal with difficult clients? Hit me up in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Contact me via Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and let's get this conversation going so that we can get better clients and that we can keep relationships strong going forward. Thank you for watching Digitive TV, and if you've liked this video today, don't forget to download my free 25-point UX design checklist. It's really great. It's a checklist that will allow you to go through some of the key things that we may forget as UX designers. And even if you are a seasoned professional, it's helpful. And if you're a beginner, then it's definitely helpful for you. So download it for free, and definitely go on my Facebook and just contact me and let me know what you think about it going forward. Take care.